It's the Mel K Show coming to you live from Manhattan on January 1st, 2021. A new year and the year of the boomerang, as I keep calling it. And I'm here with Rob Breely, my partner. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great today, Mel. I'm excited for the new year,
Me too.
and it was fun having a little quiet New Year's out in the cold in New York.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, that was the most bizarre New Year's Eve in New York ever with the 10 p.m. shutdown and the streets all blocked off for blocks and blocks. So you couldn't get anywhere near Times Square, except for apparently somebody was able to go to Times Square and enjoy.
Oh my God, that was the strangest thing. So I don't know
Such
if
a jerk.
many of you seen that, but so they closed off all of Times Square and they set up some sort of a mock celebration, right? They had some bands and stuff, and they had De Blasio and his wife doing this like New Year's Eve dance, like
Yeah, like that it was
alone
a wedding.
on the stage, right? And like a bar mitzvah or something.
Yeah.
And she was wearing this kind of African mask with all these pedo symbols on it. And if you
Yeah.
know them, he's like 6'11", and she's like 5 feet tall. It's the oddest thing. But if that
Yeah.
wasn't the biggest red pill that
Right.
anyone could get slapped in the face with, I don't know what is, because
Oh
you
yeah,
know
they were literally dancing on the grave of a dead city that they killed.
right.
It was so disgusting.
And at the same time, the media is reporting how Wuhan is like the new you know rock and roll.
Party spot. They
Yeah.
were Wuhan was packed wall to wall. There looked like there was no social distancing, no mask, no nothing. They without the vaccine or anything. They it looked like it was Times Square was desolate. If you were warned if you went too close or you crossed the borders that they put up, you'd get fined 2 grand. And in Wuhan, it looked like Times Square usually looks really sad. Oh
Yeah.
God,
I
can
mean,
you imagine?
I can't, but hopefully it wakes more people up, and that's what we need here in New York, because there's still a lot of people walking around with their face diapers. So, this has got to change. But, our government continues to push on this. There was an assembly bill that resurfaced it's dated January 6, 2021, but I believe it was first introduced, actually like in March before the COVID, which is kind of odd. But this bill basically says, among other things, it's funny because it's couched in a very kind of pro-employee manner. But what it really says, if you read it, is that the government can uh, remove and detain people that have suspected health risks and take them to be vaccinated and sent to detention camps. So,
Wow, there's our FEMA camps.
yeah,
That's also was the story in Nazi Germany for your health. They needed to move you. This is just another grab. Like I've been saying, they're going to try to push for mandatory vaccines also in New York, even though that's the big place of Cuomo, your body, your choice, but not when it comes to this pandemic and the vaccine. And I saw that bill, and the bill's intentionally fake. So who's deciding? Because apparently it's the New York Department of Health, which is a disaster already and broke, and Cuomo gets to decide. It doesn't look like there's this has a doctor aspect. There's
mm,
calling it a it's a health and human services. So, these are the same people that take kids away for no reason. And all this. So the health and human services now can take a healthy person that they consider a risk for basically this gives no real reason. It doesn't even say COVID. It just says for any health risk that you can
yes,
be removed, quarantined, and held if you are deemed a risk to public health. I
right.
mean,
And
that's so scary.
yeah, and New York is totally Democratic controlled, and you wonder how they do that, right, with their voting. But
Not anymore.
um, it's we got to stand up, people, and fight back against this craziness.
Yeah.
Another, it was sad last night. St. Bart's or St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is
Again,
one of our national monuments as far as cathedral goes, was
generally.
vandalized with some language ACAB Antifa slang for all cops are bastards. So that
Right.
is
And
lovely.
Black Lives Matter and all that all over it. Yeah, this is like we've been saying, this is a good versus evil war. I don't attacking these churches, especially these beautiful old monuments and something like St. Patrick's Cathedral that is just such a beautiful church that has been there, and they feed homeless people there 3 times a day, every single day, and do a lot of good work for the city that the city itself and our government are not doing. So it's just a real tragedy. The attack on Christianity and God and religion is just couldn't be more in your face, but people are still ignoring it.
You
It's
know,
not an accident that they're attacking, churches.
yeah, there's certainly a war on Catholicism. There's been a number of church fires in New York.
Christianity too,
Yeah, yeah,
Judaism. I mean, all of it.
yeah,
It's a war on God. It's a
yeah.
war on God.
That's
It's the
true.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we've been noticing a lot of suicides in our paper.
Yeah.
Yesterday or this morning, there was a UN diplomat was found
Right.
suicided in the neighborhood, and almost daily, I would say, over the last week or so, we've been seeing different
Multiple.
suicides.
Yeah.
And we knew from very early on that suicides were going to be, the I would say intended, unintended consequence of all these lockdowns and
Yeah.
isolation. So, mental health has got to be front and center as we move forward.
Yeah, it's just not, of course, back to the de Blasio, they had an opportunity. They got it in their budget to build mental hospitals and help the homeless and all that. And that $850 million Thrive, New York, I talk about a lot because I tried to really blow that open. And nobody ever did anything. And this could have been, had they not stolen that money or been held accountable for it, at this point there would have been resources. But as you and I see every day, there's plenty of people living on the street right now, and it's getting higher and higher. And the isolation and the ending of all churches and school in person also ended AA meetings, NA meetings, and all these support groups that really people that aren't in them don't understand how important maybe the fellowship is. It's not the same on Zoom. And so taking away people that already had issues, mental health or addiction issues that were getting help, and like now everything's tele, and I don't think that's necessarily enough. But very early on, I said that the biggest issue here was going to be suicide and overdose, and it's coming to pass every single day. And the problem is that now the middle class in New York City is no more. People say, "Oh, get a job." There aren't jobs because nobody's coming back to New York City. It's a myth. And it's completely controlled by these Democrat policies that have now it's not safe even to go out. Even if you want to, you have to be super careful. And it's really sad. Every day we wake up with multiple suicides, and I'll bet you anything that they're being called COVID deaths by de Blasio and Cuomo.
Yeah.
But
As bad,
because they're not talking about it,
yeah,
and that's a big deal.
we've always been saying that, we're going to stick it out here in the belly of the beast. And as bad as New York is, and it really is, and maybe that's why we're seeing so much, because people really need to wake up here. But POTUS is taking a lot of action. I mean, I noticed that there was a lot of pretty positive news as we
Yeah.
kind of went through today's news.
Yeah, he's certainly not acting like somebody who's exiting the office.
No, he's
That's for
not.
sure, because he's not. But yeah, two good things I saw today. First of all, he extended his emergency order with respect to serious human rights abuses and corruption, which includes the human trafficking, child trafficking, international human trafficking. So anyway, he put that into effect. A lot of that is connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case and what's going to be coming out of that. He just extended it for another year. So we are still in a case of a national emergency with respect to human trafficking, human rights abuse, and child sex trafficking. So that's good news for what's coming out, I think, soon with the Epstein boomerang I keep talking about. Also, second,
I just want to mention, related to that, January 1, 1863 was when Lincoln delivered the Emancipation Proclamation. So I thought that was interesting timing.
yeah, freed the slaves, and somehow 3 days ago in Boston they took down the beautiful Lincoln statue with him emancipating the slaves. and took it away in the middle of the night, and are going to replace it because apparently Abraham Lincoln was too white. I don't know, but they really took the monument to the emancipation of the slaves in Boston. So that was pretty sad. But anyway, yes, today is, so this is about human slavery. Basically, human trafficking is alive and well and thriving all over the world. It is an international, high level, also cult related, but it's a billionaire business. Actually, human trafficking and child trafficking and organ trafficking have outplaced oil as the biggest commodity of international trade on the dark black market, which is terrible. But anyway, so this is extended 13818, and that also includes anyone that is convicted of these horrendous crimes against humanity will have their assets seized, their land, their
Yes,
property.
that's important.
Yeah, and they will also be, tried, God willing, in as I've been telling everyone, there is a tribunal that's similar to Nuremberg that was set up by Pompeo a long time ago. Nobody has spoken about it, but these people that are committing these horrendous crimes against humanity, which might also coming up include COVID-19 and the attack on hydrochloroquine that could have saved millions of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives if that. But the crimes against humanity have been racking up. But first and foremost, I want to get those child traffickers and the people that were doing satanic ritual abuse and adrenochrome harvesting. So that's what this bill is about. So luckily, this is still in play, and Trump extending it doesn't look like he's going anywhere, in my opinion. Also, something close to my heart, as I once had a stalking situation when I was younger. President put out again that he's designating Presidential National Stalking Awareness Month. He is calling it out. He put out a press release today saying that this disturbing crime affects millions of Americans every year. Victims of stalking are subject to bullying. It interferes with their ability to live productive, peaceful, fulfilling lives. He's saying that through National Stalking Awareness Month, he's going to make a lot of things available, and that there's going to be a lot of outreach. The truth is that 1 in 6 women and 1 in 17 men experience stalking in their lifetime, and nearly 7 in 10 victims report knowing their stalker, which usually it's a domestic violence or something to that effect. Stalkers tend to target young people. 54% of stalking victims are females, 41% males. Most stalking occurs around the age of 25, which is when it happened to me. And honestly, this is it's a mental health also nightmare that causes lifelong PTSD. Many victims, it alters their ability to feel safe, and they show signs of depression, usually that follow through their lives. Stalking's not, and now with the internet, it's become gang stalking via technology. So I'm really happy about this. Donald Trump has talked about a lot of things that people didn't want to talk about, like pedophilia, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and this stalking is a really big deal. A lot of stalking ends in death of an innocent person that really couldn't get protection. So he's also doing a Combat Online Predators Act, which imposes strict sentences for predators that stalk minors online, with a maximum sentence of 10 to 15 years in prison. This is the worst situation out there, are that the children spend too much time on the internet and they often don't know who they're talking to. And we have an epidemic of children being kidnapped and trafficked because they've met somebody online who posed as something else. So he's putting both of those out there now. And he's also going to do some prevention and education on stalking, cyber stalking, and protecting your children, and how to defend yourself and get help. A lot of times, it's now, especially with social media, it's very difficult to prove stalking or to get those restraining orders. So hopefully this will be something that'll enlighten people, that they'll be more open to helping victims before it's too late.
There's a lot of this doxing and
It's
this, like,
terrible.
the woke, culture attacking anyone that doesn't agree with them. I don't know if it pertains here at all, but
It
all of
might,
that
because
stuff.
he
Yeah,
included the cyber stalking on here, which I
right.
don't know if that was included before. And, another thing, Trump is really, in my opinion, the way that they speak about him being a misogynist and stuff is so crazy because he's done a lot of this stuff, especially with sex trafficking for women and the stalking bill and some other things that he's put in, that a lot of the stuff Ivanka's put in so that parents can get help for 5 years when they have a child and all of that have been really good for women and protection. And I would hate for to go backwards in any of these things, but don't tell California that, because just after I read that he was doing all this good stuff, the California Supreme Court ruled sex offenders convicted of child porn offenses can get early parole under the Nonviolent Offenders Act. So these radical leftists, pedophile promoting Northern California um, justices have now decided that child that sex offenders and people who molest children and deal kiddie porn are nonviolent offenders. There is nothing more violent than sexually abusing a child, mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual felony in my case, in my mind. And so the California, um, under Jerry Brown, he is the one who wanted to make it that sex offenders would not be considered a violent crime. And this turns out that this ruling is going to do that. And basically, it says that this ruling means that somewhere between 4,400 and 20,000 sex offenders currently in custody in California will now be eligible for parole. This is the worst time possible for this, especially in California, where there are, a lot of people talk about the illegal immigrants that come in with children. A lot of those children are not their children, and they're trafficked and they are sold and they are put into these rings. That's bad for them. It's bad for all children. It's bad for communities in general. And so basically, this is another step in this. California has replaced their entire judicial system and their law system with these George Soros Open Society backed attorney generals. And now this is happening in LA with the attorney general, and obviously in San Francisco with the attorney general, also in Sacramento. So this is another pro-criminal push by liberals in California that are going to make our streets less safe for parents and children. It's essentially, at this point, you can shoplift, you can be a John, prostitution is basically not a crime anymore. If you don't have money for bail, you don't have to pay bail. Certain crimes, certain people often judged arbitrarily by skin color or other factors are even let out of jail without even having their charges stick. And then on top of that, defund the police. And now California is saying that child sex offenders, child molesters, and child porn purveyors are nonviolent offenders.
Then I saw that in Massachusetts, they're lowering the age of
Consent. Can you
yeah,
believe that?
unconsented abortion.
Yeah, so Massachusetts, who also are the ones that removed the statue of
Right.
Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves, beautiful statue, for no reason except for that he was white. Now they're lowering the age of consent for abortion in Massachusetts to 16 without parental notification. Again, the whole thing about the abortion issue with kids is a lot of these kids were sexually molested a lot of times. And on top of that, not just that, there's a big psychological toll, an emotional and spiritual toll from getting an abortion that most people, that pro-abortion people never, ever, ever talk about. But some people are haunted for life. Well, a 16-year-old child, whatever happened, should get parental consent. And but no longer. If you in Boston now, in Massachusetts, from 16 years old, you don't need it. And somehow that seems to be a good thing up there. And they are also one of the states that has late-term abortion up to birth. So I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on there, but the mental, emotions, psychological, spiritual, I don't know.
You know,
I
it's
feel
it's good versus evil, and we gotta take down these predators. I saw an interesting tweet today from Lynn Wood about Cappy,
Yeah,
and
my
uh,
guy
and
Cappy.
I know
Love
that's
Cappy.
near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, well, I pray for him. I pray that he's in witness protection every day. For you, those of you, I can't imagine, but for people that don't know who Isaac Cappy is, he's a Hollywood guy. He was an actor, and he was one of the first people to come out and talk about the sexual, satanic sexual ritual abuse in the cults in Hollywood. And he
He was
called
a
out a lot.
child actor, right?
No, he was an
No,
actor. He was like,
actor.
my age, the
Okay.
same. No, but he found out as unfortunately when you get higher up in Hollywood about the pedophilia and how rampant it was and how it's giant cult. He called out Spielberg and he called out Epstein Island before most people heard about it. He called out Tom Hanks and Ellen and Oprah and all these people that have since been exposed to having been on Epstein Island, especially during certain weekends where their cult was doing satanic rituals. Cappy had no fear and he was calling people out and he was being threatened by a lot of people. Tom Hanks, one for sure. And then apparently, um, he was really, really helping people come out. A lot of satanic ritual abuse survivors felt strengthened by his message and started speaking out. And basically, he had this something happen, and he was scared. He made this entire video, kind of telling what was going on. Next thing you know, he jumps off an overpass near Route 66 in on the way to Arizona and dies a few days later. Well, not a few days later. Uh, and basically, it's just a very convoluted situation. I pray he's in witness protection because I drove there not too far later on my way to Grand Canyon to stop and see where it happened. And there's no way that what they said happened to him actually happened. But anyway, Lynn Wood is dropping bombs today, and he came out and he mentioned Isaac Cappy, and he said Isaac Cappy knew the truth, and it's all going to come out, and he knows what Isaac Cappy knew because Isaac Cappy did have a what's that called when you
Dead man switch.
right, he had a dead man switch, which appears to be I've seen it, so it appears to be pretty earth-shattering news. Anyway, God rest his soul if he's not with us. If he is with us, he's a major hero. But I love seeing Ellen Wood bring it up today because I thought, okay, what have I been saying? The Epstein boomerang incoming. So God willing, he's still alive. And if he's not, his legacy will be that he outed some of the worst pedophiles known to man.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the depth of that next level
Right.
of evil,
The
and
Epstein boomerang and
yeah,
adrenochrome. And yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah,
we'll be
yeah.
getting there soon. God willing, these people go to prison. And then on top of that little bit, what else is going on that level?
Well, I saw a few different things. I saw that the U.S. Voted against the UN budget,
Yeah.
which is good because I know you are a big
Yeah, evict the
advocate of the
UN.
UN.
I want to make shirts and hats. Evict the UN, the Lucis Trust, the anti-God, one world order behemoth down the street from us. Yeah, so so our the UN put it forward this budget for 2021, and
The
of
UN
course,
is a joke,
I
right?
know it's so ridiculous. We shouldn't give them 1 cent. We should evict them and build a mental health facilities and all kind and permanent housing and stuff over there. Everything to do with the Rockefellers turns out to be one world order rich man's trick. But anyway, we turned down their budget for 3 reasons, as usual. It's anti-Israel, totally anti-Semitic. It makes it like it's just listen. The UN is a total joke, and it's also condemns America for lies while it pumps up other countries that are true human rights violators like China that basically runs the UN now, and other countries while disparaging America. The UN is straight up un-American, and I'm really glad that he said he would not be a part of this budget. And people might not know he pulled out of UNESCO, which is their education wing, which I've done shows on the Lucis Trust and Lucifer publishing and how their whole thing at their arcane schools goes back to
Oh my God.
satanic rituals and satanic thinking and one world order. So he pulled out of the education side. He pulled out of a bunch of other things. And, if God forbid, which is never going to happen, Joe Biden went back in, he would re-enter the fraud that is the Iran deal. It's a slush fund. He would re-enter the Paris Climate Accord, again, a slush fund. And he would re-enter these international groups like UNESCO that at the end of the day, they're the ones that have a lot to do with the child trafficking. They pretend in the guise of going into these dilapidated and impoverished countries of helping. And if you go and look at the wreckage that the UN seems to do while they're there and on their way out, I'm very glad that he's not going to participate. God willing, Trump keeps going and just pulls us out of the UN. If there wants to be an international body, it should be international for real, not a one world order, Davos, Bilderberg group of elites, billionaires trying to push the world to the brink where they can come in and take over our sovereignty. So good news about the UN in my mind.
Yeah. Another good piece of news on the census tally as it relates to SCOTUS and representatives in the state. So, people need to understand that the reason why they're pushing, one of the reasons why they're pushing, open borders and all these, illegal aliens is to get higher population density and more representatives. I guess that
Right.
was cut
Right.
down.
Right. So yeah, what happened was so one of the big reasons that these sanctuary cities, sanctuary states have these policies is so that illegal immigrants can come in and flood the zone, and therefore there's more people to then have the census count. And with the census, they decide how many representatives each state has. So Trump has fought really hard to keep illegal immigrants and illegals off of our census count because no state should get extra seats in the House based on population that is not American citizen population. So basically increasing representation based on the presence of illegal aliens it's unlawful because other states don't have the luxury. So the states that are adopting these policies that encourage illegal immigration and illegal immigrants to come in and then protect them from law enforcement and ICE, they basically are trying to pull a fast one on the states that are not doing this and are respecting the laws of America and the rights of legal immigrants and legal citizens to be counted and to be heard and not to be infiltrated by non-citizens. So basically the court decided that Trump is right. He's going to get two different census counts, even though it looks like the department is putting it off until after January 20th. But it looks like he's going to get two census counts, one with illegals and one without illegals, and that the House of Representatives representation numbers cannot be for towards the illegal immigrant
These sanctuary cities have been a disaster. I mean, New York,
disaster.
the cities in San Francisco, LA, California, and look
Right.
at Beetlejuice in Chicago. I mean, she's
Oh
doing a
my
great job.
God. How about her? What? There's so much in Chicago. You can't, it's not even funny at this point. So the Chicago, this horrible, I don't know, I do know, another Soros Marxist plant. That lady was talking about the New World Order with glee a long time ago. But so there were 4,100 murders, shootings.
Yeah.
There were 4,100 shootings in Chicago in 2020. And this woman we went to defund the police. That whole thing with Jussie Smollett happened, So anyway, somehow that Kim Fox is still there. The police department, massive people, retirements, people getting out of policing in Chicago. They have no support. She allowed the riots to go on, and now she's blaming COVID-19 for the gun violence when everyone in Chicago knows that A, Black Lives Matter did nothing to help Chicago or the inner city or anything. And B, the gangs have taken over and the police have been basically their hands tied. They're not allowed to do anything anymore. And it's the Wild West in Chicago, but nobody's ever talking about it. Instead, Black Lives Matter is trying to shut down restaurants, indoor eating, and hotels in DC for a friendly pro-Trump march on 1/6, yet they never seem to be going to Black Lives Matter never seems to be going to Chicago to do something there to try to help these people that are living in a war zone. These are their own people and they're good people. And if Black Lives mattered, they should be in Chicago trying to find solutions. This is horrible. These poor people are living in a war zone run by gangs where the cops aren't allowed to do anything. And the mayor seems to think that Chicago's doing just fine. So I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we the people have to start taking back our cities. I mean, Chicago sounds like a nightmare. And where'd all that money for Black Lives Matter go anyway? It went to Joe Biden's campaign, apparently. But like I just said, we're going on the 6th. Yay! We're gonna meet some great patriots down there and show our love and support for our country and our flag and General Flynn and President Trump and Black Lives Matter is down there. They are targeting hotels and restaurants. What's her name? Bowser, who renamed the plaza in front of the White House Black Lives Matter Plaza. She has now closed down indoor dining. I thought that was supposed to be about COVID, but no, she closed down indoor dining on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So that it affects the pro-Trump rally that's going to be on the 6th. Also, this Harrington Hotel with the Spar Harry's that had a lot of people on the December 12th peaceful protest staying there. They closed down. The restaurant's closing down. They're closing all indoor dining just to try to stop good patriots from coming and showing their love and saying that we want our votes counted. So Black Lives Matter doesn't seem to be where people are in need. It seems to be where they want to cause the most problems and hurt, good people while not helping the good people that really need help.
No, yeah, yeah, agree.
Oh, and this, Chicago's teachers union, these teachers unions also very backed by Open Society / Soros funding. The head of Chicago's teachers union, or one of the leaders that's been saying that the kids can't go back to school and the teachers can't go back to school and is anti-school. She was apparently, after saying everyone had to stay home because of COVID with the mask and it's too dangerous to go to school, is posting pictures on her Instagram from her vacation in Puerto Rico. So, that tells you all you need to know. Every time I think of Chicago, I think of corruption beyond compare.
Another slap in the face, another reveal, just waking more people up. Yeah, we need that, but it's getting pretty tiring. But there's a lot of good stuff going on. I saw that people probably don't notice they're not in the markets or watching the financial activity, but you had mentioned that a number of Chinese companies are going to be delisted, particularly the telecom companies, which is very interesting.
Yeah, well, that's starting right now, actually. So the Trump administration, again, not acting like they're going anywhere because they're not. The Trump administration, the New York Stock Exchange started delisting telecom companies that are connected to Chinese firms because, as we know, the CCP controls everything having to do with any commerce or corporations or money in and out of China. And the Chinese military basically owns all of their telecom and control most of their networks and all of their business. So what's happening is the Nasdaq's also following and S&P Dow Jones in indices. So the companies are Telecom Corporation Limited, China Mobile Limited, 0941.HK, and China Unicom Limited. So these three companies are being delisted. They're also going to have other companies attached to them that will be. The biggest problem here is stealing our data off of our, these big companies. They don't have, first, they control their population by using their telecom technology and AI, but also it's a big breach of trust for our country in terms of having them on the stock exchange, interact with us and, deal with different companies here, taking military secrets, taking our data, infiltrating our own lines of communication, our own telecommunication grid. So I think this is a big step. Basically,
I was in the financial services space for a long time, as you know, and I wasn't awake to it at the time, but
Mhm.
a lot of even small companies in the venture backed community and these venture capitalists and big private equity funds, a lot of Chinese money has been over the last 10 years has been flowing into a lot of those different companies and investments. And I am sure that they are littered with CCP agents at the
Right.
board level and executive level. And we saw that thing the other day where all these companies that have CCP divisions. So
Yeah.
that's a really important step in rooting out this.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of that, the Pentagon also announced 35 companies, CCP owned or CCP military connected companies, that they'd also like to see out of our stock exchange and off of our all of our platforms, and take their ability to function in the United States away ASAP. So big moves being made there. But then also on top of that, Hollywood, you've been bad. Turns out Chinese movie ticket sales surpassed the US for the first time ever. They claim that CCP claims that they are the global cinema industry stronghold now and moving forward. Even though they caused the COVID, they say that they're the only box office and ticket sale revenues in the world to survive the COVID-19 crisis, maybe because they didn't shut anything down. But anyway, they are now calling themselves the kings of Hollywood. I know, as many of you know, that China has been financing movies on all levels and media and our news and everything for a very long time. But now they consider themselves winning. So usually busy weekend before Christmas saw ticket sales falling by 30% from a year ago. That's losing about $71.5 million. And the total box office this year has been a total nightmare for America, but apparently it says over the year it's dropped 80%. Hollywood's taken in America their money making ability, and yet China is doing great, and they're also building big film studios. They're talking about taking over for all international filming, and they say that this is their most anticipated changes will be in Hollywood filmmaking being in China and the industry going there. So
You know
maybe
what?
that's a good way to do
Honestly,
it.
they can have it.
I know. I
The
know.
last few years, the kind of the content they've been like jamming into a lot of these films
Terrible.
as it relates to, gender confusion and storylines that are just really perverse. Remember that whole Netflix cuties thing among
Yeah.
many other things. So, you know, it's destroying our culture anyway.
Right. I
I
know.
hope there's a resurgence in a
Look
more
at sports. Look at
right, same
basketball.
thing.
Right now, alive and well in China, and they love it. So they can have it. All these people are for the one world order. They are bought and paid for. The biggest stars and athletes are clearly tied to the satanic cult. So, I say good riddance. China has been infiltrating the Hollywood film, TV, all these markets for years. And, and right here, China has become the largest movie market worldwide permanently due to the large population and strong economic growth, and they plan to stay that way. So everyone that hates America from Hollywood and keeps telling us what we should do and how deplorable and awful we are, it's a good time to move to China.
Yep, I
Looks
would agree
good.
with that. So,
Okay.
so where are we, Mel? Because we got the election
Ah,
going on. We got well, the Senate vetoed the defense authorization, or
yeah,
they didn't support his veto, Trump's veto. So I don't know if
yeah.
people know that, but that was news today. The Defense Authorization Act, with Trump vetoed because of Section 230, and he wanted election security, and he was also pushing for
Well, they
more
vetoed
stimulus.
it honestly because it ends the military industrial complex that makes all those people so much money.
Right.
Without war and pulling our soldiers out where they shouldn't be, especially where they're in countries that are enemies of ours. That the loss of that is the loss of a lot of backdoor money to all these people, and defense contracts and lobbyists and all that. Doesn't really matter. I'm at a point where I believe that Trump and all the white hats, they're ready. They got everything. They know everything. Lots of great posts today. Bomb fire posts by Pompeo with his new hashtag swagger. But but no, my opinion is we are about to see the reveal. I know most people got their $600 checks today. Don't worry, everyone. That's only the beginning. A lot of these executive orders are going to kick in. We are going to see the reveal of some incredible treason, crimes against humanity. Don't expect Joe Biden to make it. Lots of chatter also about Pence and others, but I think we're in good shape. I don't see a Donald Trump that is nervous at all, and I see him making moves that he wouldn't be making these moves if he was going anywhere. We saw he added Newt Gingrich and some other people to that to the Pentagon counseling group that deals with foreign policy. So listen, he's bringing in good guys. He's getting rid of bad guys. He's doing everything he needs to do to set this up. And I look forward to the 6th. We're very excited. Yay, we're going to DC to fight,
Yes, we
fight the
are.
good fight. And that's it. But I feel good about everything. Look, the more I see him doing, the more I see him going nowhere. And thank God, because we can't allow a treasonous, a horrible, horrible person like Joe Biden anywhere near the White House. And we certainly can't go back to all of Obama's policies, which is what he's doing.
So, our job out there, fellow Patriot pals, is to learn, to support those that are still awakening, and
Yep.
to support our president and the administration, and the fight against evil.
Yeah, the
That's what
best
we're
is yet
here
to
to do.
come, as we know. It is. It really is. And you know what? I'm not. I have no fear right now. I just feel like it's all playing out. And Ellen Wood and Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, they're big kids. They know what they're doing. They're not how they're portraying them. These people are helping save our country because it wasn't going to happen from the inside. And there's some new heroes coming out of the woodwork, and it's an exciting time to be alive, and
It
I feel
sure
very
is.
positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started our new website. I'm working on it right now. Finally, themelkshow.com, www.themelkshow.com. I'm Impulsive Woman at Twitter. We have our nightly, so exciting, the Mel K Show on BitChute. Thank you everyone that's commented and subscribed and is following. I'm trying to dig out the news that nobody's covering and get it to you so that we're armed with facts and truth. I've been on with some awesome people lately, Denise Bolin, Charlie Ward, Robert David Steele, Van Vandersteel, Roseanne. So we're going to have good guests, but I also want participation from all of you guys. So stay in touch, get in touch, follow us. We're going to have a really good time, and we're going to stay positive, and we're going to ride out the next 4 years full of hope and bravery and rebuilding our country back to power to the people, because it's we the people that run the show, not them. And we're taking it back. Right, Rob?
Yes, we are. Let's take this back, Patriots, and onward and upward. Have a
Good
great
night, guys.
evening.
Thank you
We'll
so
see you
much.
soon.
We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.